Chesty eats just about anything you can imagine. Mice, quail, small birds. We get house sparrows. She'll eat meat, chunks of meat, heart meat. She is not picky. And she's just overweight all the time because I feed her all this food and then we let her fly around the yard. And then she goes back to eat her food in the building. Sibley just eats quail. All she'll eat are birds. And in the wild, that's all peregrines eat pretty much, are birds, birds that they catch in the air. So she gets Coturnix quail, which is Japanese quail. She gets half of those, half of one of those. And then when she kills ducks and pheasants, she gets to eat the heads and the neck and the wings of her game that she catches herself. So it's always birds though. Chesty used to hunt. Now she just flies around the yard, and if the dogs are out, she hunts the dogs. And when we let her out, we're gonna have to put the dogs in the house because she'll fly down and whack. And the dogs know not to bite. They were raised with birds, so they know that these birds, you have to be respectful. I've never seen her catch anything here on the property, but she sure could. One time she took a vole away from one of our cats. And she had a great big vole this big, and she flew back in her building to eat it. And I just shut the door. I was very glad. I don't know how fast Chesty flies, but these birds don't rely on a stoop like a peregrine falcon. They come down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet at hundreds of miles an hour. These birds fly along in trees, and when they see their game, they quickly fly down, and they use their weight, and they fly down using a very fast flight, and sometimes they chase rabbits right down rabbit holes. They'll go underground, Harris's hawks, underground after rabbits, and they'll walk through the brush with and chase them. They'll hunt in big groups. Birds that aren't even related will hunt together. Very gregarious birds, and you'll have these big groups of wild Harris's hawks flying together, and that's why in falconry they're very popular, because people fly them in little groups of Harris's hawks all at the same time after rabbits and squirrels. So they're great birds for falconry, very popular, and she was a falconry bird. Now we just let her fly around the yard every day for the last 3.5 years, and she's only spent one night out. And it was on Thanksgiving, the first year we were letting her fly, and it was about 0 degrees, and Harris's hawks they're desert birds, so we were worried she'd get too cold, but she just stood up in this pine tree over here and came back the next day. And so in the winter, these two Harris's hawks have a red 100-watt bulb in there, and they have a slightly heated perch, so it's heated a little bit in the building, but they still fly every day, and both of them do. Sibley flies every day starting in about late August, and we exercise her across the road. There's a great spot, there's no game there. And then we fly her on ducks in the front yard over here, and then we have a couple private properties down in the Bitterroot and several in the Blackfoot, and we take her out hunting, so it's falconry. So she might go on a duck hunt one day and go talk to an assembly for K through 5 for 400 kids the next day. So she does both things. I raised Sibley in a playpen in the living room. I bought her when she was 3 weeks old from a breeder in Bozeman. And the very first flight she had, I put her over on that fence when she was 45 days old, and she flew across the yard, and within a week I had her up flying, and now she gets up maybe 800 feet and waits for us to scare up the ducks or pheasants, and she'll fly down and smack them, flying over 200 miles an hour. So these humble beginnings of flying across the yard, and then, you know, many years later really fine-tuning the hunting. So she does very well now. Sibley's our favorite bird around here, and I wrote a book called Falcons in North America, and it took 2 years to write, and almost the whole time I was writing it, Sibley was standing in the living room giving me inspiration. And it's a great book. I'm working on another book now, and she's in there right now, isn't she? Yeah, helping me with inspiration.